Imagine tripping over your words during a presentation, convinced the entire room is judging you. But can you recall anyone else's small mistake? This gap between feeling watched and reality is a cognitive bias known as the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect was first systematically studied by psychologists Thomas Jilovich and Kenneth Savitsky in the late 1990s at Cornell University. Their foundational work revealed a startling truth. People overestimate how much others notice and remember about them. In a landmark 1999 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, Jilovich, Savitsky, and Victoria Husted Medvec designed experiments that would become famous. They asked college students to wear a t-shirt featuring singer Barry Manilow, a figure considered deeply uncool at the time, and enter a room full of strangers. Participants predicted that nearly half of observers would notice the shirt, but only about 23% actually did. This simple experiment showed that our internal spotlight is far brighter than reality, and the bias holds whether the shirt is embarrassing or flattering. To further explore the mechanism behind the spotlight effect, Jilovich and his team conducted a second study. Participants were placed in a group discussion and instructed to say something awkward or embarrassing. Afterwards, they were asked how many other group members noticed their discomfort. Once again, participants vastly overestimated the number of observers who had noticed their social faux pas. The researchers concluded that the spotlight effect is driven by two factors. Anchoring on our own subjective experience, we are acutely aware of our feelings and actions, and a failure to adjust for the fact that others are not privy to that same internal experience. This combination creates a persistent illusion that we are the center of attention, even when we are not. Closely related to the spotlight effect is the illusion of transparency, a concept developed by Jilovich, Savitsky, and social psychologist Epley. This is the belief that our internal states, anxiety, embarrassment, excitement, are more apparent to others than they actually are. In a 1998 study, researchers asked participants to deliver a speech while trying to hide their nervousness. The speakers consistently believed their anxiety was far more visible than it was. We feel like our emotions are written on our faces in neon, but to observers, they are often in faint pencil. This illusion amplifies social anxiety, making us think everyone can see our inner turmoil, when in reality, most people are too focused on themselves to notice. From the moment we wake up, we are the protagonist of our own narrative. We experience the world from a first-person perspective, and this constant self-focus makes it difficult to accurately estimate how much others are focused on us. As cognitive psychologist Daniel Kahneman explains in Thinking, Fast and Slow, our brains are machines for jumping to conclusions, and the most immediate conclusion is that our own experience is central. This egocentric bias is not a flaw. It is a necessary shortcut for navigating a complex world, but it comes at the cost of accuracy. We assume others see what we see, feel what we feel, and notice what we notice, when in fact, their attention is elsewhere. There is also a temporal dimension to the spotlight effect. We not only overestimate how much people notice us now, but we also overestimate how much they will remember us later. In a follow-up study, participants who wore the embarrassing t-shirt predicted that observers would remember them for weeks. In reality, observers forgot within hours. This temporal component is linked to what psychologists call the end-of-history illusion, our tendency to believe that our current self is the final, permanent version, while in reality, change is constant. This means that the awkward moments we obsess over are not only less noticed in the moment, but also quickly forgotten, freeing us from the weight of imagined scrutiny. The spotlight effect is not a laboratory curiosity. It has profound implications for mental health, social behavior, and professional performance. For individuals with social anxiety, the spotlight effect can be paralyzing, making every interaction feel like a performance under a microscope. Public speaking, job interviews, and even casual conversations can trigger intense self-consciousness. Understanding this bias can be liberating. Recognizing that the spotlight is dimmer than it feels can reduce unnecessary anxiety. It helps us realize that others are not scrutinizing our every move, which can improve performance and reduce stress. By acknowledging the spotlight effect, we can step out of our own heads and engage more authentically with the world. So how can we use this knowledge to our advantage? The first step is awareness. Simply knowing about the spotlight effect can reduce its power. When you feel overly self-conscious, remind yourself that others are likely not paying as much attention as you think. Another strategy is to shift focus outward. Instead of obsessing over how you appear, focus on the content of your message or the people you are interacting with. Finally, practice self-compassion. Everyone makes mistakes, and those mistakes are rarely as memorable as we fear. By embracing these strategies, you can dim the metaphorical spotlight and live with less social anxiety, more confidence, and greater presence in every interaction. The spotlight effect reminds us that we are not the center of everyone's universe. If you found this valuable, consider exploring how other cognitive biases shape your daily life.